Welcome back to Your Voice. In this episode, I'm going to touch back up on a topic I'm pretty sure I talked about twice now. Usually I like to talk about this topic with multiple people, but I feel like I'm decently educated enough to kind of just go on about it myself. Um, the topic at hand, though, will be importance of family members in one household. So, like, this will be the part three. And honestly, I just feel like there's just so much that's just so normalized about just kind of families all together and how many people are in the household and who's in the household and what takes place there. But like for family to be as important as it is, but for us to normalize certain things such as only having access to one parent being more physical or just somewhat abusive than the other, just like just so much that goes on that can really make or break a family like very easily though. And that's kind of the reason why I made so many parts about this because I just see so many things that go on and take place. And like I said, they're just completely normalized or just very what's the word? Just so like undermined. Um any of the individual's life as they get older and they just kind of look back at it as like a whatever thing because they still turn out fine. But the thing is like only occasionally will someone like that person turn out fine. Or even if a majority of people do, it's like that shouldn't be normalized to the point where it's like most children are turning out fine while only having access to the mom or dad instead of both. Most children are turning out fine when being raised in a more abusive household, more demanding household, more a household like very high expectations, a household with very limited resources, so on and so forth. There's so many things that take place in people's like childhood, but we're just so like forgiving for it, or we just don't speak on it as much. But that's the problem, like we should. And it definitely has like the newer generation that is having children now, or soon to be having more children. It's like there's a lot of generational curses that honestly I already know we hope to break, but honestly there's still some I see taking place. Whether it's people having children too early, which is not always a good sign because you're still developing as your own person, and as much as you may be like very willing to give a child the life that you wish you had as soon as possible, there's something that you want to get figured out first. And financial stability is usually always the first one because like you don't want to try to raise a child knowing that you still take care of your own bills and your own things, and trying to get their needs out the way may not always be the highest priority for you when it should be. It should be. But we know if we have to cut back on certain diapers or cut back on certain, daycare visits or medical visits, whatever the case may be, because we have to take care of certain others like car payment, so on and so forth, we will do that. But that's a problem. We shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be so quick to give birth to certain children, and not certain children, like just children in general, and make certain families as soon as possible, knowing that we aren't really ready for that. And it's okay not to be ready for that. We all want to give life, or most of us want to give life, and we want to definitely give a better life to the ones that we bring into the world. However, you're not going to do that if you just run and rush into it. You're not going to do that if you're still kind of trying to overcome your childhood traumas, your past curses, that took place when you were upbringing, your cousins upbringing, so on and so forth, maybe your friends even, because there's just a lot of stuff that takes place, and you want to make sure you can avoid as much of that as possible. Because in your life, there's a lot of things you wish you didn't have to go through as a kid. There's a lot of things that you don't want your kid to go through. But also pay attention to other people's lives as well. I have a lot of friends, and they've gone through either similar shit or different shit, and all of that like all together is something I would not want my children or their children to go through, because that's not something that we should be normalizing, and not something that we should keep pushing and make so as common as it is. It should not be a common thing. It should not be a common thing to run into somebody and just kind of already have the pre-assumption like you have one parent house. Not at all should be a normal thing. And that's probably the biggest red flag about it now, is because like it is very common. And on like a better kind of condition, you could say, is sometimes it's like even if it is just one parent house, those parents still relatively co-parent, or they still play their parts, or they're still relatively active in the child's life. So it's a little better, but even then it's still not that great, because you're basically conditioning your child to believe like, well, I don't have to be with my partner down the road to still raise our child, when you should though. You most definitely should. You shouldn't always try like, well, you should just try to stay together with stay together for your child, but that shouldn't be the only thing that is strengthening your relationship with your significant other either. You shouldn't only feel love or feel comfortable being around your significant other because you share your child together. No, that child is not gonna patch the holes in your relationship. You guys gotta patch the holes in your relationship as a team. You aren't just gonna give birth to a life and think that's gonna fill the void. That's not gonna fill the void. It's gonna honestly put you two apart because you're gonna end up over like you're gonna argue over certain things, and down the road it might be arguing over custody. So it's like you would not want that to be the supposed stronghold bond that you two share. That is not what you guys be bonding over. That should be a byproduct of the love that you guys share, but that shouldn't be the only product that you guys have at all. It shouldn't even be a product. It should be a byproduct. The product that you guys share is the love, and then what you can make out of it. The child becomes a byproduct of that said love, and then that's where you pour the love that you guys have for each other, both into that child to make sure they become the person that they should be and the person that you probably want them to be. But better than that, don't just set your child up for your pre-assumed image. Like, no, let them have their own destiny. Let them have their own legend or whatever you want to call it. But let them be their own person essentially. And you shouldn't just kind of like you shouldn't try to shape that in too many ways. Like obviously I don't know about we, but majority of us are definitely gonna like try to keep them on a certain path. Definitely, I mean that's just a kind of no-brainer. But if you feel like there's certain things that they want to do and you don't fully approve of because maybe you didn't do that or maybe you weren't raised to believe that was okay, let them do it. Times are different. Um, but yeah, that's like the main thing. It's like it should not be as common as it is for people to find parenthood and a different family member or just a different person in general. Because most of the time, people find their true fatherly figure in just a different adjacent adult in their lives that has nothing to do with being a family relative at all. Maybe it's a family friend, maybe it's a coach, maybe it's a teacher. That person should not have to pose as a better father figure than the actual father that genetically gave birth to that child. Shouldn't be the case. Um, let's see. That's the main thing. Is like having that missing link, having that missing connection, having that missing bond. That or just overall, it's very detrimental to not have. There's only two parents, and to already be missing one, even if they're not completely gone, to be missing them already, and for them not to be there 100% of the time is already just a bad thing, because they're gonna miss out on so much stuff that really could have made or break who they're gonna become as a person. So it's just like having that already out of the picture is not. It's not means to fail because people still make it out. Of course, people still become who they should become. But people aren't just gonna sit there and act like they couldn't have become a better person, possibly, if they had that person in their life more times than they didn't. You know, a lot of times it's like if you where that kind of spin off is like if you have a parent who isn't there, they're not supporting that child, they're not giving that child the attention that they should seek, or let's say both the parents have a very nasty relationship and they're just constantly bickering and constantly going back and forth, blah blah blah. So many conditions of that visual just are gonna be just kind of burn into the child's like brain, thinking that either those toxic arguments are normal, thinking that it's okay to, like I said, just go back and forth with your partner. Um, if it's a constant, if it's like a consistent common occurrence, they're gonna start tuning that out. They should not have to tune on the arguments that you guys have. You shouldn't be arguing in front of them to begin with. At the same time, though, it's like if you guys are so caught up arguing, you're not giving that child enough attention. That's how certain things take place and form, and they go on to do certain activities or develop, depression or something like that. And then you won't notice that because you're too busy, caught up in your own feuds, that you can't even see like your child is suffering from not like either having to bear witness to said feuds or simply not get their attention because you guys are so caught up trying to like get at each other, you know. And it's crazy. It's just so much. It's just like for something that feels so simple to most people, when it shouldn't, because it's not a simple thing. Having children, having a family is not a simple thing. But for people to make it as simple as it is, and then forget like there's just so many kind of like picture like a birth control, as you could say. It's like you take birth control. It's simple. It's supposed to do one thing, but it has like a bunch of side effects. That's how that's how feelings are. It's like, at the end of the day, you just have to raise a child, but that's not a simple thing. It's like you make one misstep, you make one miscalculation, you do one thing that to you is like a shoulder shrug. There's a lot of different ways that child that you're doing it in front of or doing it around or whatever. It's like they could take that and just kind of go a mile with it. That could just stick with them more than anything. So you want to make sure that whatever you're doing has a positive effect on them. You don't want to be caught arguing in front of them. You don't want to be caught leaving them without their other parent. You don't want to be caught teaching them things that shouldn't be taught, or they shouldn't even be exposed to at that age, or whatever the case may be. It's like there's a lot of things that you're gonna do that are gonna slip your mind. That part is normal, but it shouldn't be normalized simply because you neglect being able to change that or alter that or code switch or whatever. Like the same way you shouldn't be cursing in front of children. Some people know that, some people don't, or some people know that and proceed to do so. So it's like if you're one of the people to proceed to do so and proceed to just use your regular dialect or whatever you want to call it, verbiage, whatever, your profane language in front of a child, and that's not something that they should be hearing, that's not a good thing. Or like the children that know those bad words, or like they don't mind you cursing in front of them. Why? Children should not be so exposed to something to, like I said, where it becomes a watered down thing, a normalized thing, and it doesn't have as much an effect on them, or they believe it doesn't have an effect on them, but it will. Where they think, oh, mommy and daddy argue all the time, you can argue in front of me, like it doesn't bother me. For them to think it doesn't bother them is a horrible thing off rip when it is, and it will affect them. It will down the road be something that they think is just like whatever. But then like they'll end up finding themselves in a situation where it's like they might be in that same boat. They might have children of their own. They might argue in front of children, think the same shit. Think, oh, as a kid it didn't bother me, so it won't bother them. It will. And people aren't all the same too. I've said this multiple times. The same boiling water that can make an egg hard can make a potato soft. So it's like if you think that just because you endured arguments, because you endured beating, you endured whatever the case may be in your childhood, that does not mean that your child can bear the same thing. This is not how it works. Or how it felt when you've experienced those things. You know what it did to your brain mentally, and there were certain situations where you might have had like a very deep depression, deep anxiety, deep overwhelming fear of like if you weren't reaching certain expectations, if you said the wrong thing, that you were around your parents at the wrong time and you witnessed the wrong things, whatever the case may be. How it felt to be in those situations. So why would you think it'd be okay to put them in the same exact position as you were and feel the same thing that you did, if not worse? It's not an okay thing to do. Then more so on like the whole one parent absent kind of thing. It's like when you're so used to receiving more resources and more support and more attention and just a lot of things from one parent, that's gonna make you somewhat despise the other. Because if one parent's able to do so much, it's like what stopped you from playing your part? What stopped you from being able to like hold up your end of the bargain and be the parent that you should have been? But yeah, you made parent A, whatever, you made them do all the hard work. You made them work overtime. You made them play both mommy and dad, or play daddy and mom, whatever. It's like you made them do all this work the whole time, and you were here, or you could have been here, and then you decide to just do your own thing or something like that. It's like and like the thing, and I said because like sometimes that second parent tries to come back into the child's life, but it's like you played no part in their upbringing. You played no part in making sure they had the materials that they needed to go to school, that they were able to do extracurricular activities. I think that's word. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, do stuff like that. You didn't provide them the means to do that. But yeah, you want to come here all of a sudden and just expect you to just like for them to call you dad, call you mom, for them to give you a hug when they see you, for them to return your phone calls. So like you didn't do that, right? Um, and that's what I'm sorry. Like even if you aren't doing that per se, you still have something to play. You still have a role to play, and you have a role to play prior to prior to them getting those resources and stuff like that. Like, don't show up just because they finally got their school materials paid for. No, you can be there for them for other things as well. If you have a parent that takes care of more of the financials than the other, then it's like that's okay, so long as the other parent is still taking care of what they need to. If you feel like one parent gives you more of the emotional assistance and guidance and support than the other, but the other is always there when it comes to like um making sure that you have what you need and stuff like that. It's like at least there's some kind of balance. It isn't a perfect balance. You want to make sure that both parents could still give you what you need essentially, and that you don't have to go to mom for if you were being bullied, or go to dad if you couldn't afford going to the mall with your friends, something like that, right? You want to make sure that you can still equally go to both parents about what it is you need, but like understandably, that's not always the case. One parent is better at talking than the other. One parent is better at getting you what you need. That's okay as long as you are getting what you need. Sometimes, but we have to we have to meet in the middle somewhere. We have to give credits for something, because there are parents out there that just don't do that altogether. There are parents out there that just don't provide anything at all, and then their child's left to kind of make do. You don't you Your child should not be making do. Your child shouldn't be in sixth grade trying to make their own means of money so that they can not look poor to their friends. Go out and have fun with their friends. Your child shouldn't have to be trying to figure out what it is that they're getting bullied for and why they have to be dealing with that without having anyone else to go to, and kind of like making their own self altercations to avoid any more harm, or self harming to avoid any other, like, avoid the pain from getting any worse, and feel like they can't deal with it. Shouldn't be doing that. But I just like there's so much neglect that takes place either in the full absence or semi absence of a parent, and that's just not something that should be normalized under no circumstance. And I feel like, and for the child as well, it's like as you get older, that's not something that you should tolerate, and you should just like push past and be like, well, I mean, I understand it. Like, you could be understanding of it. You don't have to agree with it. You could understand it. At the same time, it's like what you should also be doing is still making them aware of what they could do better. I don't know how you're supposed to do that. Like, you don't have to just go up to them and be like, remember the times you used to do this, blah 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 blah. Like, you don't just have to start a conversation about it, but if it does get brought up, or they try to, you know, act like it was nothing, you can definitely forgive them for it, but still hold them accountable for what they did. And as simple as that. Because in their mind, they're gonna always probably think that they did a phenomenal job as a parent, when the whole time they probably didn't. There was a lot more that took place behind the scenes than they know for, and either they don't care, or either they don't know, and that's why they believe that they did such a good job, when you should be the one to tell them like you didn't. You want your child to be transparent, so you want to be transparent with your parents as much as you can, anyways, or at least, like, I don't know, if you're the parent yourself, it's like understand where you could have went wrong, and you can always apologize for that, and you give them a point, because some people do want that apology, or some people may not want it, but they know they might appreciate it. But it's just that kind of this is the pride. It's always gonna be the pride of knowing like you probably did something wrong, but you don't want to admit. You don't want to like take accountability for it, or admit that you fucked up, but you did, and you could be the adult that you are, and then say that you messed up, and then go on. Like, you could still keep the relationship that you share with your child, and you can honestly even better by understanding, like, yeah, I wasn't doing that great when so on and so forth were taking place. Or maybe you can give them more insight toward it, and just believe like you were just not doing stuff to not do stuff. Like, maybe you had other stuff going on around that time, and that just was overwhelming. Like I said, because even me, like, I've never been a parent. I haven't been a parent before, so I don't know how that may be on your behalf. But you were a child, so you know how it might have been for me. But at the same time, you aren't me, so you don't know how your parenting affected me. So let me also tell you about that. It's like you can have these transparent conversations with your parents as you get older. And honestly, it might help you strengthen your bond. It might help you figure out what you should be doing when it comes time for you to have children of your own. Um, but definitely, it's like transparency is the biggest thing. I know for me, it's like whenever I do have children, it's like I would want to be transparent with them. to a degree. Children don't have to know everything. They definitely don't have to know everything. But you shouldn't be treating them as though they're not human, or you shouldn't be like treat them how you want them to act. Essentially, it's like I'm not just gonna treat a child like a child because I know at some point that child is gonna become their own person. They're gonna become an adult. So I know the time is right to let them know more non-childlike things, then they can know. But obviously, it's like if they're 4 years old, they're still a child. I'm not gonna tell them things that a child shouldn't be hearing. But saying the same way, it's like you know that is my kid. When they're 20, they're not a kid no more. Despite them still being my kid, they're not a kid no more. So I'm not gonna treat them as a child. Um, but yeah, transparency would definitely be like the biggest part for me, anyways. And just kind of making sure like they don't have to. I mean, there's a lot that you wish they wouldn't have to do. So I'm not even gonna go into that because like, there's a lot that I could just go based off and just hope they don't have to experience. But I wouldn't know that until until I'm in that predicament. And all I could do is try to work for it, opposed to just believing like I'm gonna be this most outstanding parent when I possibly might not be. And I doubt anyone else out there is a perfect parent, or their child could say that they were a perfect parent. They might be able to, who knows? But for the wide majority, it's like that's not the case. So I'm not gonna act like that's gonna be the case for me, but I would definitely try. And there's a lot of things I wish I would overcome. But even in that also takes place with the partner as well. You can't just have children by yourself. I mean, you could, but you still want to make sure like the first piece is making sure you pick the partner that's you want to have children with, and that not only will they make a good partner, but they can make a good parent. I feel like sometimes it just doesn't work out that way, unfortunately. And I feel like if I want to go into that myself a little bit, so I've had a decent bit of partners. In terms of who would make a good parent, though, it's like I don't know. Either A, because we didn't make it that far, or because like I just didn't see the signs that they'd make a good parent, or same thing goes for me. It's like I might have made a good decent partner for them, but they might not have seen me as like that's the father I'd like to have, so on and so forth. But yeah, that's one of the things you should be paying attention to, especially when you do want to get to that point in time where it's like you want to have children. It's like you might be with someone that you truly love, but will they make a good, would they make a good dad? Would they make a good mom? Because once you make that deep commitment to that person, those will be the next steps, and you want to make sure that they really play those next like roles the way they should be, because a lot of people don't. A lot of people back out. A lot of people do shit they shouldn't be doing, and then that's how all this stuff starts. That's how this type will continue to go because people weren't as committed as they thought they were, and people show that because you got people like giving birth to children before they get married. Where do we just kind of blend the lines on that one? That's not something that we should be doing either, because having a child is a bigger commitment than getting married. So you lost me. But that might be all for this video. Like I said, I'm not gonna talk about this by myself because there's a lot more that I could go based off of, or there's just a lot more that I know somebody else could even add to a whole bunch. So I'm not gonna have my solo tangent and just like yap about this for like too long. I'm just gonna give you an idea of like where this could go. Like I said, family's a whole big thing, and just having it all like having it all be the ideal family and household that you should have is the key component that a lot of people just simply aren't having. Like I said, I cannot stress this enough how many people I know where it's like they have something going on, or they had something go on that was just crazy, but like they've either like just kind of blocked out their mind or act like it, or like just they've become familiar with it, so it's not that bad to them, or people act like it's just such a normal thing. It's like I said, only have one parent in the house. It's like that's no. Biggest red flag out there. Not for the child itself, but it's like for you to know, like for you to run into somebody and know, like yeah, they not know, but like at least find out, like they only have one parent, but that doesn't come off as like a surprise, like they should though, because it's too many people. I don't even think I know anybody at this point. I knew probably two people, but like nowadays, like I don't even know people that have both their parents actively, like and like together, actively in the same house, actively doing what they should be doing. Like I don't know anybody with that. Not a good thing. Like I said, completely not a good thing. But yeah, like I said, I'll leave the rest of the topics to either be discussed in the comments or just in a whole future video, which there definitely will be. This could be like a whole series itself, honestly, of just like that, and just kind of making sure like people are set up for having a proper family without repeating generational curses. But that'll be all for the video. I appreciate you guys always for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next one.